You always see me working out in the gym.
Here, I'm here. Go, go. Good. One more.
Oh, yeah. But the key to maximizing your muscle mass lies in your nutrition. These are my staple bodybuilding high-protein meals to build as much muscle as possible. Delicious, nutritious, and fits within your budget. So finally, welcome to my new house in the kitchen, where today we're gonna create some high-protein, easy to prepare meals. So this kitchen will be changed or renovated because the previous person was a little smaller than me. All right, so these are all the ingredients we're going to use for the first meal, which is very suitable for building a lot of muscle. All right, we start out with 120 grams of rice flour. You can go for rice pudding, but it's out of stock for me right now, so we're going with the rice flour variant, 120 grams. Next, to make it taste very good, I like to add some flavor powder. What is this? Just a natural base sweetener that is kind of in powder form with nice chunks to make it taste amazing. Next is a secret ingredient. This is actually dried egg white powder. I put in about 20 grams, and this will actually, just like regular egg whites, make sure the meal is nice, consistent in a microwave, and gets a very nice volume mouthfeel. Then, very important, I like to add some cinnamon, very good for insulin sensitivity. And lastly, and I use my micro scale for this because I'm very accurate, we use some salt. For me, it's going to be 3 grams. Now, one of the kitchen hacks I use is a whisk. This will make sure there's no lumps in your breakfast. So make sure to whisk everything to perfection to remove all the lumps so you get a very nice, incredible consistency. So once there are no lumps anymore at all, apart from, of course, the dark chocolate pieces from the flavor powder, it is ready for the wet ingredients. So simply fill up your electric kettle to cook and boil some water. So for me, it's very important to use boiling water rather than cold water, because the proteins from the egg whites will coagulate sooner, which will create a texture, and then putting it in a microwave. Then it's time for the chocolate, guys. My favorite, Power 80 by Calabout, dark chocolate, just has more nutrients for a better pump in the gym, literally. So we take about 10 grams of dark chocolate. So we're gonna put about 450 grams of water in here. Always go along the edges to make sure you get all the dry ingredients. And then afterwards we can mix it up nice and quick. Then the whisk, very important to whisk everything until it's nice and smooth. As you can see, the coagulation of the egg whites makes sure the texture is already pretty amazing. And now it's pretty important to put the chocolate. I prefer it in the middle, but you can put it all around if you want, but in the middle you can get a nice chocolate lava texture. Well, I prefer to put it at around 2.5 to 3 minutes, because that will create an even superior texture. And now it is time, guys, to create the whey drip. The whey drip is an amazing way to create some frosting on top of your breakfast. For me, I need quite a lot of protein, so I put in at least 55 grams. And since I put in 55 grams to create the perfect whey drip, you put in 5 grams less of water than the amount of whey. Another kitchen hack, this is a silicone spoon. Why is it important? Because when you mix this around, eventually you'll be able to get everything out as well. With a regular spoon, it's going to be way more difficult. Now, during the preparation of the breakfast, just put your whey drip in the fridge for a little while. Okay, after about 2.5, 3 minutes, we take out the victory breakfast. A little hot, but as you can see, this texture right now, it's nice and perfect. So now you take your fruit of choice. You can take fresh fruit like these strawberries, or this frozen strawberries. Now, I, as a bodybuilder, actually prefer the frozen variation. Why? Frozen contains more vitamins than the fresh variation because it's actually frozen right after picking, way more healthy actually than the fresh one. And it also is cheaper, which is very important when you eat a lot of food. And thirdly, it simply works better with this dish to create the hot and cold contrast for the whey drip. Now, I like to weigh out about 150 grams of strawberries because they're pretty big. We're actually going to cut them into smaller pieces. All right, so an easy way to cut these, I actually have to put them like this to create a little bit of stability. Then simply go down the middle like this. Now, I cut them like this to create a nice platform onto the victory breakfast for the whey drip, to get some nice foundation to create that nice, incredible layer. Because of the cold from the fridge, it has allowed it to thicken up just a little bit to create that perfect consistency. And now we're going to put the drip right on top. Look at that, the whey drip. And this is what I mean with the silicone spoon. You can take out every last gram of pure protein. This is the victory breakfast. As the name suggests, I like to eat this as my breakfast, but also as my post-workout meal. All you have to do is simply add 40 more grams of your carb source to it, rice pudding or rice flour, just like this, and you have your post-workout meal ready. So of course today we've been cooking some delicious meals as well as my pre-workout meal, but I also gotta go to the gym. And that's why I like to wear Able as always. With code Wesley you can get 10% off, up to 20+% off. But thank you guys for the incredible support, because with Able, you guys are bringing me literally all over the world.
To make the victory muffins, simply add about 350 ml of water to a shaker cup. Add the rice flour and the flavor powder to it, and after mashing a banana with a fork, add this to the cup as well. Then add a generous amount of cinnamon, a dash of salt, and don't forget this all-important ingredient, the baking powder. You want to add around 3 grams of this to the mixture. Then shake vigorously until everything has a nice thick consistency that is pourable. Then take your muffin baking sheet and fill each muffin slot with the mixture. Add some dark chocolate to each of the muffins. Bake in an oven at 100 degrees Celsius for about 15 minutes. After cooling down, you can enjoy your delicious victory muffins. However, don't forget to use the whey drip dip to add some incredible protein-rich frosting.
So what you want to do is take the muffin and use the whey drip dip to dip it in there. Look at that. Frosting deliciousness. And then you simply... Yeah. This genuinely tastes incredible, guys. This is an incredible snack to take with you. Eat at home, eat at the gym, wherever. The victory muffins. The next staple meal will be a rice-based meal, of course, whole rice like this. We're going to use the crock pot for this, pretty much an advanced rice cooker, works the exact same, with some delicious vegetables for minerals and vitamins for the metabolism, and of course, the protein source. So the type of rice you choose can be very different in terms of how it's going to taste and what the volume is going to be. So I like to choose parboiled rice, which means it has been pre-cooked once shortly to remove all the starch. This means every rice grain will be loose instead of the jasmine rice or sushi rice where it's one big mass. This will make it much easier to eat in the off-season. So first you put in 360 grams of rice because I like to cook in bulk. So what I do is I cook for at least 3 meals, 120 grams rice per meal. Then the next ingredient will be the herbs. Everybody wonders, how do you make the golden rice? Well, you make it with turmeric. This is the golden spice you have to use from India, which a lot of people there already know, but we in Europe and America, we didn't know before, but now we do. Golden rice with turmeric. Next up is going to be ginger. This has incredible properties such as anti-inflammatory, and it also is very healthy for digestion, which you like to take when I'm sick, for example, and it just tastes amazing in combination with the turmeric. No, turmeric is very healthy, but you can't absorb it unless you add black pepper. And black pepper, which has piperine in there, make sure you actually activate what's in the turmeric, and you get the curcumin, which actually is a supplement of, but you then absorb this, which is also anti-inflammatory, and it also tastes great. Lastly, I like to add pink Himalayan salt. I like to add 2 grams per meal, so there's 6 grams in this crock pot for the 3 meals. Now it is time for the vegetables. Vegetables are boring. Why would you take them in the off-season? Well, they add a little bit of volume, true, but they also add vitamins and minerals, which are very important for your metabolism. Also, protein metabolism. All these vitamins and minerals will ensure you will be able to metabolize protein and other macronutrients better, which ultimately will get you better gains. The first thing I like to do is put your pan on your stove and heat it up already. Put your ESN cooking spray on there, or any cooking spray you have available to minimize the amount of fat in your meal. And then choose 2 vegetables at least of your choosing. So I happen to have some zucchini and some bell pepper at home. 2 colors. I like to always choose 2 different colors. And you simply cut them into little pieces to make sure they cook nice and even. I like to use the cubed version of the zucchini, and the bell pepper you can just cut as small as you can. And the nice thing is we actually have a pick garden for fresh herbs and vegetables here locally. So yesterday with Laura and Marley, we took some rosemary with us. It tastes amazing, nicely aromatic, and also has unique benefits for metabolism and also digestion, which you can add. It makes it easier to eat, and it's healthy. A win-win situation. In case you don't have time to cut your vegetables fresh, you can always go with pre-packaged bags like this. There's all the vegetables in there. As you can see, multiple vegetables, so at least 2 vegetables per meal is my recommendation. All right, now it's time for the protein, arguably the most important part of this whole meal, of any bodybuilding meal. So I'm going for, of course, chicken. Now, chicken is a very versatile protein, but what I always do, instead of cooking it myself every single time fresh, I put this in the crock pot, because not only can it cook rice, it can also slow cook your protein. Then it looks like this. Might not look the most appetizing, but it doesn't matter. It tastes amazing. It's nice and moist, it's not dried out, it's perfectly cooked, and you can store it in the fridge for a couple of days, so you can eat of your meals, you already have your protein prepared, which usually is the most difficult part to do anyway. So I have a chicken here, of course, but you can also do it with beef. So this is also lean beef, which usually, as a steak in a pan, tastes dry, bland, but in a crock pot and a slow cooker, you can make it taste amazing as well. So, if you don't have time to make a snack at all, and you gotta go somewhere fast, you can always take ESN Designer Bars. 15 grams of protein and tastes absolutely amazing. As you can see, there's always a trustworthy amount of chocolate on there, and you can always trust it. It's gonna taste incredible. No words, just experience. Incredible. So after about 12 minutes, the crock pot, aka rice cooker, is done. Then you take out the pot and weigh out, and this is an important part, the whole thing. And what you can do is subtract the amount the pot weighs from the amount the rice weighs, and then you figure out how much per meal rice you need. And in this case, it's 426 grams of cooked rice. Since the rice is already flavored with salt and spices, you simply put it on your plate. And on top of the rice, you put the vegetables and chicken, which is now nice and warm due to the cooking process. And then this is optional. You can add some low-calorie sauce on top. In the off-season, I know it's difficult to eat your food sometimes with the high volume, but adding sauce just makes it that much easier to down. Now, since you use the crock pot or rice cooker anyway, you might as well put all the rice of the day in there and divide it over your other Tupperware containers. I actually like to use glass ones. We don't want those plastic particles in our food, do we? But simply put the exact same amount in these Tupperwares, and then you have enough carbohydrates for the day. So these are my personal staple meals to build as much muscle as possible. Anybody can use these meals with the variation, of course, with spices, herbs for the rice to make it taste different, different protein sources, such as the chicken. You can use fish, beef, anything you like, as long as the fat is staying quite low. And of course, you can use different kinds of flavored whey drips to make it taste incredible. Different fruits, you name it. Probably the amount should be adjusted to what you need yourself, but these meals will be suitable for anyone. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. A lot more nutrition videos are coming to you, especially when this kitchen is renewed, to make sure we can film as good as possible for you. But we just wanted to get this video out of the way for you guys, so let me know what you think. And of course, don't forget to stay golden.